Charlie, what's in this cool black box on the bar tonight?
George Remus Gatsby Reserve. Looks fancy.
Can't wait.
Let's see if it tastes fancy.
Okay, Charlie, Remus Gatsby Reserve, 2024 edition. This is a 15-year-old bourbon. Kind of excited about that.
That's old.
That is old.
That's old. That's old bourbon.
It's almost old enough to drive.
Where did they get this bourbon?
So this is Remus's owned by Ross and Squibb,
Which
otherwise
is
known as MGP.
Boom.
This bottle is 104.9 proof.
Okay.
It is suggested retail is anywhere between $229 and $250.
You paid $250 for
I
this?
absolutely did not. The local Kroger had a drop Christmas week.
Okay.
They usually don't put their allocated stuff out throughout the years. They wait for Christmas, Father's Day, blah, blah, blah. $169.
For 15-year MGP.
Absolutely.
I'll take that. Do we know the mash bill?
So it's a blend of two high rye MGP mash bills, 75-21-4
Okay.
and 60-36-4. So we like both of those.
We
mash
like
bills, don't we?
really both of those. So this is a winner all the way around.
This, I hope so. It
yeah.
better be.
Is this barrel proof?
This, you know what?
Or is it proofed?
I don't know. That's a great question.
Sorry.
It didn't say.
Well, through the magic of editing.
No, it is. It's cask strength.
Oh, cask
It's right here on our notes.
Oh.
This is why I print our notes out.
There we go.
So
Excellent.
let's read the little media.
We're going to read the
clip.
media thing.
This ultra limited cask strength straight bourbon celebrates F. Scott Fitzgerald's legendary novel, The Great Gatsby, a century ago from its events in 1922 to its publication in 1925. So it has been said that The Great Gatsby was actually based on George Remus.
Have you seen Boardwalk Empire?
I have, yes. I even put that in our notes.
He's very the
Very
king
prominent.
King of the bootleggers, and he refers to himself in the third person.
Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Mr. Remus was the first person to be exonerated in a murder by reason of insanity. I am
That
almost
sounds familiar.
95% sure that
Yes.
that's true. This is a very interesting guy. King of the
Yeah.
bootleggers, lived in the 20s,
Yeah.
killed a lady, got away with it. Now we're drinking his
Yeah,
bourbon.
I think he moved from Chicago to Cincinnati.
Yeah, he was
He threw these big, huge,
Yeah.
extravagant parties, hence Gatsby.
Gatsby Reserve.
Let's get into this. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more
let's do it.
about...
Now, I had the original Remus Reserve.
Okay.
And I believe it was a 10-year, but it was years ago. And I remember enjoying it very
Yeah,
much.
I've never had one.
Oh, my goodness. Look at that.
Got a really nice color.
We're drinking out of our Gatsby crystals.
Yes.
It does have a very nice, deep amber,
Yeah. It's almost
brown.
It's brown, yeah.
Almost
Almost
brown.
brown.
104.9 cask strength. No water in the bottle. Boy, it does hit.
Really, it just stays.
Yeah, it
makes a
doesn't
ring around
really-
the glass and doesn't really...
Doesn't want to move much. Oh, I'm excited for this
All
one.
right.
Let's nose it. Oh, yes,
Ooh, that
sir.
smells wonderful.
Yes, sir. Wow.
That almost reminds me a bit of a wild turkey nose, like a Russell's Reserve.
They're
Russell's.
You get hit with an immediate sweetness, and then an immediate fruitiness, and then an immediate kind of that
Cola.
burnt cola,
Yes.
like a burnt cherry Coke.
Some nice leather there.
That's awesome. And boy, that really does have that. Now I've got that wild turkey cherry cola in there. Awesome nose. Awesome nose.
It's getting sweeter the more I smell it.
Gatsby.
Cheers. That's really good.
You think? Wow.
That's it's not very sweet. It's got an undertone of like a dark fruit sweetness to it. But very oaky, obviously. But a nice oakiness. I'm getting a lot of that old leather.
Yeah. You know immediately that you are drinking a cask strength not because of the proof, but just because of the depth of flavor and the fullness, the immediate bombardment on your palate. It starts off where you think, oh, this is going to be sweet. And then it's like, nope, not going to be sweet. It is bold. It has a great sort of rye spice on the sides of my tongue. And on the mid palate, it starts on the sides and then it goes back and like gets the back of my tongue on the rye spice. But you were right. It's leather and tobacco, like a pipe tobacco. Yep.
There's a little bit of I'm getting like a butterscotch note.
Yeah, there is almost like the darkest chocolate caramel ever. I'm gonna go back.
Now I'm getting a nice cherry note.
Yeah, now it's more the nose. I feel like you said the nose gets sweeter as it goes. I feel like it gets more fruity as it goes. Like that fruit starts to come out.
Man, I love that nose.
It is so good. Holy crap! And this is $169. What a deal!
Yeah, that's not a bad price. That was a good pickup for me. It's got that dusty note to it. Not it's literal dust, but
it has
just tastes old.
That aged funk. That flavor that you can only get from 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old bourbon that you can't fake. That oaky char. Man, that's a good bottle.
Do you know what I wish we had to compare this to?
What?
The Russell's 15-year.
You get out of my brain.
I wish we still had
some out of my brain. I was just thinking that how I was going to wedge that Russell's in and say that this is right up there with that Russell's 15. Yeah. Right up there with it. I feel like the Russell's was maybe a tad more sweet on the front.
I would agree.
But that same just oaky depth of flavor.
Yeah, I think the Russell's maybe had a little bit more nuance to it than this one. Maybe not.
Man,
it was pretty straightforward as well, but it was. I do think it was a little sweeter.
Well, you gave me gruff about me saying like this is the only bourbon that I would need to drink if you just gave me a lifetime supply of that, and I would. This is right up there with it. This is what I enjoy, and it's funny to me to see the evolution that MGP has had from 7-8 years ago to people being like, oh, it's MGP, gross, you're sourcing bourbon. And then people started drinking it. And if you remember the High West, the Smooth Ambler, and my personal favorite, and one of my favorite bottles and releases of all time, the Boone County single barrel proofs from MGP that were from the old Seagram's distillery. This harkens back to me. Hark. For those, and I really love this bottle.
Well, it's so interesting that you just said what you said about the MGP, and people are like, it's MGP, I don't want to drink it, because you and I are both MGP honks. But even me today, this morning, I stopped in Meijer like I usually do, just see what they have on the end cap, and they had a High West. It was some kind of single barrel reserve. And I started to grab it. I was going to pick it up, and I thought, it's just another MGP. And I put it back, which doesn't mean I don't like MGP. It's just when we're looking for content, you kind of want to mix it up a little bit. And I knew we were doing this.
Well, it's interesting to watch, and MGP, and there's a lot going on with MGP. You can Google Midwest Grain Products, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, and hit news and kind of see what's happening with them in their business. But it's interesting to see what they've done in the last couple of years, because they got really sick. I mean, this is Ross and Squibb, which has the Remus brand. MGP,
which Remus actually did distill at Ross and Squibb,
right?
MGP, whatever it was called back then,
right? But the reason the MGP started all these brands and bought all these companies like Bucks Row and these other ones is they got sick of they got sick of building brands. People went to them. They're like, we're starting a bourbon company. I'm starting a distillery. They go to MGP. They buy a bunch of their stuff and boom, they get famous. MGP's like, why aren't we doing that? And that's why Remus and Ross and Squibb and Lux Row and Penelope are all owned by MGP because they got sick of making everybody famous and rich. But
it's making my tongue numb.
It is so good. It is. This is an end your night bourbon.
Oh, yeah.
This is a celebratory.
No
this is. I had a really long day, and I want something that's really just gonna.
Sip on this and only this.
And only this. This is a great bottle. I think you should rate it.
I will rate this. I will rate this it's a solid 9.
I think I gave the Russells 15 a 9.
Is it 9 or 9.2?
It was up there. I would also give this a 9 because I can find no flaw in said bourbon. It is incredibly sippable. It is incredibly flavorful. If there was any flaw, it is not very sweet.
No.
But when I'm drinking a 15, if you want sweet, there's plenty of sweet. There's a lot of sweet on my bar. I don't have a lot of that on my bar. That's a great bottle. I give it a 9.
And and I know a lot of people are going to go, ugh, when I say this, and I've said this a few times in the past, but there's almost like a cherry flavored cough syrup note that's on the finish for me, which I like. I like that taste.
Like a cough drop.
Kind of. Yeah.
Like a.
But if you've ever taken like a Robitussin or something like that.
Yeah, like a lozenge. That kind of. Well, I mean, that makes sense because in a lot of cough syrups, especially the older ones, there was alcohol in them.
Sure.
I can get down with that, and I think that's maybe more of a mouth feel and a throat feel, less than maybe a flavor. Because
I don't know, it's on the finish. Like it's on the roof of my mouth and on my tongue. The more it sits back in the back of my mouth.
I have exhausted mine.
I don't know if we have anything more to say, but I'm enjoying sipping on
great
this.
Bottle.
So we're gonna drag this out a
great
little
pickup.
bit. Yeah.
Tell the nice people what to do.
Well, what we would love for you to do is check us out on Instagram, So Into Bourbon, and on TikTok, Whiskey Realtor, as long as TikTok exists in the United States, and So Into Bourbon on Facebook.
Make sure you like and subscribe here on the YouTube for more hard-hitting George Remus content like this.
Absolutely, and as always, keep those wallets loose.
And your bungholes tight. Good night, everybody.
Peace out. Remus like it.
George Remus likes this bourbon. Remus says, are you saving this box for anything?
Yeah, I'm going to save it.
Joking. I wasn't joking. I was going to fling it across the room. If you wouldn't mind, I'm going to pour this, and then if you'll let me respond back to this text.
I'm here for you, man.
Oh.
What was that?
A little gasket? Do you want that?
Well,
doesn't feel like
it's supposed to be there. I'd say if it was on there, leave it on.
Yeah, it's like a little, like a gap. That's weird.
It's weird.
Super weird. All right. 3, 2, you have all the details here? Okay.
I do. I don't know if I have all the details, but I have the details.
Action.